No one left behind is more than a standard we all live up to. It is a way of life, it is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838 255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. And this is usually where I cue the music, but I wasn't necessarily prepared. So I'm just now cueing the music. Oh, there we go. Sorry, y'all. I usually have it prepared. Just thrown off a bit today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run for the Wall podcast. I'm Hitch, and
I'm Boots.
that's Boots.
And I'm sitting
Today we
next to a
have-
special guest today, Ross Curry.
Yes.
Road name might be Snake Charmer, might be Quilts, it might be Clam Bake. We're not sure, but we're going to find out. We're going to get to the bottom of this in this episode here.
We are.
Yeah.
So if this is your first time joining us, I would like to point out, we're recording on Friday. Fridays, we generally wear red, remember everyone deployed. I'm slacking a bit as I explained to them.
We're all slacking a bit, Hitch.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm fresh off the ice. I was ice skating this morning.
And
but,
you're not
we
injured,
all have...
so that's good.
No, I can skate.
Yeah, well, good. How did Valor do? How did the Valley Girl do?
Valley Girl, she did great. She can skate too. So she had a private lesson, I had a private lesson, and then we skated together a little bit. But we both have flags behind us there, and they have a flag behind them. So there's red in the American flag. So I'm going to go with that. We're representing. We have our red. If this is your first time joining us on the podcast and you're just new to Run for the Wall as a whole, I mean, hey, Boots, you want to share with them what we are, what we do?
Absolutely. Run for the
Wall.
Wall.
Put the pressure on Ross.
We should. But Run for the Wall is the oldest and largest cross-country motorcycle ride in support of veterans, prisoners of war, servicemen and women who were killed in action. And the goal of this podcast is to really support Run for the Wall and our mission. We are mission focused, and we want to bring about an awareness of our mission and bring a sense of community and education and how everybody out there can show their support for Run for the Wall. If you want to join us and ride, you can ride one leg one day or all the way across this great nation. Or you can just come out and support us. You can come to the opening ceremonies, or you can find out where we're going to be on our website at rftw.us and come, wave a flag on the side of the highway or on the overpass, watch all the bikes come through. It's about a 3-mile long train of bikes, whether you're looking at the Central Route, Midway Route, Southern Route, or Sandbox Route. We got 4 routes, 1 mission. That's what we're all about.
Yep.
Well
and
said.
Even if you are not able to join us on the run, there are multiple ways that you can show your support for Run for the Wall. And, we actually have a ton of sponsors who support us across all 4 of our routes. And, we are super grateful for each and every one of you. And some of those, we have Fuller Law that we mention every in each episode, because they play a big part in helping us at Run for the Wall and representing us. And they're also there for each and every one of you. So you can find them at fullerlawforriders.com or call them at 1-855-FULLER-LAW. I should have had my phone number be my name. That would have been kind of cool.
Work on that.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. Man, who else do we have for sponsors?
Well, yeah, we've got the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau. We start in Ontario, California, and it's huge. We got 1,500 riders plus family and friends and people just coming to support us. We got Color Guard out there. We've had flyovers, and we occupy a huge space in Ontario. And the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau really rolls out the red carpet for us every year, helps us with getting room blocks and special hotel rates for Run for the Wall riders. So thank you to the Convention and Visitors Bureau there. And then you want to talk about hydration sponsors?
Yes. So if you've ever been on the run and if you're planning on coming on the run, you'll see that we have hydration trailers for each of our routes. These hydration trailers are stocked with beverages, snacks, almost anything you could name. Like I think my F&G year, I went to the store. I went to like Target before the run because I didn't know. I didn't know there would be a hydration, so I had all types of snacks in my in my saddlebags.
Yeah,
But
you
they
don't need to
really
do that
have
because those
you
hydration
don't.
trailers are stocked with stuff.
More and more.
They are stocked. But the really cool thing is that PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, they are our primary sponsors for those hydration vehicles. And so we're super grateful to them as well for being able to provide, cases upon cases of water and, energy drinks and chips and Slim Jims and yeah, every time I turned around on this past run, someone was giving my child something off the was like,
Cookies.
please eat real food. Yeah, they were always giving her something like, here you go. But yeah, so a big shout out to PepsiCo and Coca-Cola for being a sponsor for so long. We appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. And then we've got a new sponsor. I think we talked about it last podcast, but I want to mention again, Climb Rider Gear. That's KLIM. I wear a Climb jacket. Ross wears Climb gear.
Yeah.
They've got everything: pants, gloves, helmets. I love it. It's really great. And so it will, by the time this podcast drops, it will be on the website. There's going to be a box on the homepage right next to AMSOIL, who's a sponsor, and Nelson Rig, who's also a sponsor. There are going to be 3 boxes on the homepage about 3/4 of the way down. If you click on either one of those boxes, it'll tell you more about our sponsor and how you Run for the Wall riders and supporters can get a discount on that gear. So check it out.
That's really cool. All you have to do is click that link. The person who runs our website must be kind of awesome. They put in a lot of work over there.
He does. He does. I know he's a hardworking dude.
Ross, did you know that Climb was one of our new sponsors?
No, I did not. And I've used their equipment for years. Their rain gear, their jackets. They're well vented. That stuff lasts a rider lifetime, really.
And what's really amazing about the Climb jackets in particular? If you put a banana in your jacket pocket and you forget about it for 3 or 4 days, and then you discover said banana after, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 800 miles of riding in the Midwest.
It was in my vest.
It cleaned out really
I was like,
easily.
this sounds like something that happened. We know this from experience.
It was a nasty mess. But it cleaned right out of that jacket pocket.
Yeah,
so there you
I
go.
think there was a chocolate bar in there.
Oh my goodness.
Made a weird s'more.
That was pretty funny.
All right.
It was.
So be sure, Ross, that you jump on the website and click that link so that you can get new gear for a discounted price.
Okay, news and events. Let's keep this moving.
Well, registration is open, and I know last episode I was all, what do I get if I'm the first person to register? And I got called out because I still haven't registered. But
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
going to.
What are you doing?
Team Midway, here I come. No, I'm going to.
Midway needs the numbers, so register. And all y'all who are out there listening who are going to go on Midway route, make sure you register.
Listen, when I register, that's 2. That's 2 for Midway. So we're good. No. But yeah, so countdown to the run. We are, 235 now?
235 as of today.
As of today. Okay, so this drops in a few days.
Yep.
Yeah, so the countdown is going. All of our coast-to-coast routes will depart from Ontario, California on Wednesday, May 13th, and Sandbox route will leave Sunday, May 24th from DC.
Yep.
So.
And hotel lists, they're not out yet, but we're still finalizing everything on that, and we'll release those on January 1st so that you can go on and find out what hotels we've contracted with and get those room rates, and really try to fill up the host hotels first, because that's where a lot of the action happens and activity. And we picked the host hotels on purpose, but check it out, especially in Ontario. That's where the hub of activity is. So if you can, stay at the host hotel.
That's good to know. But also, we still need volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your perspective route is, please go to the website and sign up to fill one of these volunteer positions, or talk to, your route coordinator, or or some of the team leads if you're not sure what that position entails. Go back and listen to some of the podcasts from last season, because we tried to do a pretty good job of getting people from a lot of the different positions to come on to give you all an understanding of what they do, in case you were just shying away from volunteering because you weren't sure like what the requirements were or what all it took. But just sign
Volunteering
up.
is easy. All you got to do is say yes. We'll tell you what to do.
There's always somebody's going to grab you and give you something to do.
Yeah. So next item of news, I had a lot of people texting me, emailing me, calling me about the Run for the Wall song by Joseph
Yes.
Walker. And so what I was going to do is I was going to put it on cassettes and have everybody, I'll mail you a cassette. But then I decided, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put it for download on the website. So if you go to rftw.us/song, or it's also in the main navigation on the website now. I put up a page yesterday that's all about the song. You can listen to it and you can download it. You can put it on Apple Music. You can put it on whatever device you use to listen to your songs, and you can take it on the road with you, listen to it while you're going down the highway, and have some Kleenex handy, because it's a bit of a tearjerker.
Cassette Boots.
Yeah, cassette.
Really?
Well, Rossi's got this 1975 Volkswagen sitting right here, and I'm sure it's got a cassette player in it. Or is it an 8-track?
It's an AM radio.
Hey, I still got a cassette player in one of my cars, so
yeah. I have a cassette player here. It's like cassette player with a record player and CD player all in one type contraction.
Yeah, we're going old
contraption.
School.
Yeah, they make fun of me about my VHS.
Right.
Okay,
local meetups.
I know go for it.
Okay, so we got local meetups all over the place in Arizona, Colorado, Northern California, Washington, D.C. And, I've been saying every podcast, if you want to start a meetup, let me know. So Bravo 6, Johnny Huddleston hit me up, and we started a new meetup between the last podcast and this one in Mississippi. That
is awesome.
Yeah, isn't it? So if you are in the greater Mississippi area, somewhere in that state, and you want to go meet up with your fellow Run for the Wall brothers and sisters, hit up Johnny Huddleston at johnny.huddleston@rftw.us. That's JOHNNIE.HUDDLESTON at runforthewall.us. Also, his contact information is on the website, so you can go to the contacts page and check that out.
All right. This is the portion of the podcast where we go into the why we ride. And this is what we're doing it for. Boots, do we have a bio?
We do, absolutely. Let me pull that up. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, this is why we ride, to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Yeah, we want to say their names, and we want to tell their stories so that they are never forgotten, and that they did not die in vain. So today we are honoring Kenneth Wilson Shook of the United States Air Force. He was an airman first class. He was born on May 18th, 1947, and he hailed from Dayton, Virginia. On September 24th, 1968, a U.S. Air Force Boeing KC-135A Stratotanker from the 902nd Refueling Squadron was flying from Anderson Air Force Base in Guam to Honolulu's Hickman Air Force Base when it encountered engine problems and diverted to Wake Island, a coral atoll in the western Pacific Ocean, where it crashed after skipping off the water. 11 of 56 airmen aboard were killed and another 23 were injured, 14 seriously. The landing gear on the tanker was still retracted when the FAA tower observers at Wake saw the plane hit the Pacific waters just short of the 9,000-foot runway, then skip into the atoll's runway, which is 10 feet above sea level. The strato tanker skidded, wheels up, over a mile, its wings and tail assembly breaking off before bursting into flames after striking an instrument landing system's aerial. Rescue workers quickly arrived on scene and were credited with saving many lives. They foamed the plane, opened emergency exits, and pulled the airmen out. All the passengers that were killed were in the tail section of the fuselage. They included Sergeant Alfred I. Brooks, Sergeant Arthur B. Cruz, Airman First Class Paul D. Grosick, Airman First Class Richard L. Hallgren, Sergeant Carl V. Wright, Sergeant Carl V. Hansen, Sergeant John L. Johnson, Technical Sergeant Gene A. Lauer, Airman First Class Alan S. Major, Airman First Class Kenneth W. Shook, Airman First Class Larry E. Wright, and Staff Sergeant John N. Quigley. The 11 lost airmen had their names added to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in May of 1986. Ken Shook's name is inscribed in the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall on panel 41 West, line 2. It is not the worst thing to die in war. It is not the worst thing to be missing in war. The worst thing is to be forgotten in war. Say their names, tell their stories, never forget. Airman First Class Kenneth Wilson Shook, you are not forgotten. Your memory and sacrifice on behalf of our beloved country lives on in our thoughts and in our hearts. You will always be remembered whenever we stand and sing the words, land of the free and home of the brave.
Thank you, Boots. All right. So that takes us to our customs and traditions. So these are generally things that we hold near and dear and put into practice while we're on the run or as we go throughout the year preparing for the run. And today's custom or tradition is just the fact that at Run for the Wall, politics has like no place here. Like we're here like for our mission, a place of healing and not to be talking about like our politics or religious views and that type of thing. So Boots, you can go ahead and expand on that.
Yeah, it has been a tradition because, we come from all walks of life and we got people from everywhere. So, all riders and volunteers are asked to keep their personal political viewpoints and discussions outside of Run for the Wall events, activities, and social media. And like I said, we have riders from all walks of life and widely varying political beliefs. Political discussions can easily turn into arguments and hinder our mission and create a hostile environment that's not conducive to RFTW's healing efforts. And that's what Run for the Wall is really about. It's a healing mission. So we ask everyone to keep their political opinions to themselves while we're on the mission and avoid wearing inflammatory or divisive slogans on your vest or on your cut. We're focused on the mission, not politics. So let's show each other some respect as brothers and sisters and come together as patriots to channel our energy collectively to support the cause that we're all passionate about, the Run for the Wall mission, supporting veterans and honoring those we've lost.
Thank you. All right. So, getting to the good stuff. Our topic of today is getting to know Mr. Ross Curry, who, as you can see, like, we don't generally sit in the same place as our guests, but today, I guess Ross lives close enough to Boots that they're able to be in the same location. And at this point, Boots, you've been giving Ross a hard time thus far in the podcast. Be nice.
Well,
At least try.
Come on. The whole reason I ever even found out about Run for the Wall is Ross. So he's responsible for this.
I don't know. I expected to be here a long time ago. I thought we were better friends. I'll just be, do my thing, and
Well,
that's it.
to be
I
honest,
won't be hard on him.
Listen, Ross,
I
we've really been shooting from the hip here since day one. So.
well, I used to live just north of Ross by about, I don't know, 5 miles. But I moved to Prescott, Arizona about 5 years ago. And then just, earlier this year, we now have a house that's about 10 miles south of here. And that's just sort of a summer house. But, I'm out here periodically, and we met up for lunch, and I twisted his arm and made him come on the podcast.
Yeah. Here I
Yeah.
am.
I mean, well, you brought the podcast to him, clearly.
Yeah, I did.
And where
Well,
you all
Great.
where you all coming from? Like, where I see the intricate background there. Where are you?
Well, we're facing due west right now. The Pacific Ocean is about, I can see it from here. We're looking out his barn.
Oh, so you're in his barn. Okay.
Yeah, we
So
are
I
in
see all the.
Napomo, California, which is about 90 miles north of Santa Barbara
Mhm.
and about 250 miles south of San Francisco.
Okay.
So right on the Central
yeah.
Coast, near San Luis Obispo, near Pismo Beach and the world famous Splash Cafe. Right? Splash Cafe. There's a Splash Cafe logo.
Yeah, there's a few of them up here, actually.
Yeah.
Old ones.
Yeah. So
That looks like a really cool barn.
Yeah.
This is a pretty amazing spread that Ross has
It's
here.
a nice hiding place.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for letting Boots come there and joining us for the podcast. And I'm sorry we're just getting you on, but also, like, I always say this, if you all have an interest in coming to the podcast, like, hey, reach out to us, pod@rftw.us, and we'd
let
love
us
to have
know.
you.
We got so busy and wrapped up in all the stuff that's going on, all the Michigas, and
Yeah.
sometimes we lose focus of who are the really important people that need to be on here talking about Run for the Wall.
Well,
All
you
right,
guys
so
are
Boots.
keeping us focused, though, because I'm sitting here talking about next year's run and get down there and register. And I'm thinking, boy, that thing just ended, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
So you guys are actually the catalyst to kind of keep the wheel turning.
Yes. But all right, Boots, you said that Ross is the one who introduced you to Run for the Wall, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my question is, Ross, who introduced you to Run for the Wall?
Wow, that's kind of a convoluted story. I around 99 or 2000,
That was a great year.
I was having some issues, I think, with my attitude. Quite honestly, I was very aggressive towards some of my staff, and I mentioned this when I went in for an annual physical, and my doctor at the time, this is a long protraction, but he was a mountaineer. He was an outward guy, and he said to me, I said, I'm kind of aggressive. I'm mean to my busboys and stuff. He goes, well, you need a life adventure. And I thought, boy, that sounds good. What would I do? He had no clue. But he told me, he goes, you need an outlet, a life adventure. Well, I was an avid motorcyclist, since I was a kid. And I had never driven my motorcycle across country. I had never been across country other than maybe in an aircraft somewhere. And I thought, well, I'll go on a motorcycle ride. Well, it just so happened that in 99, the Orchid VFW was a jump off point for some riders that were going on Run for the Wall. And through the local motorcycle store, they said, anybody available, go out and send these guys off. They'd appreciate other riders. So we went out to Orchid. A bunch of guys rolled out and they were headed to Southern California. So I got a little curious what they were doing. And I found out they were vets mostly going to the Vietnam Memorial. And I talked to one of the guys, and he had done the route several times. He was a road guard, Jim Perry, named Puma. And the next year I got involved. And the year after that, I started going all the way. I think that was in 2000. And been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of, it gets into your blood a bit.
Just a bit. That's a long history with Run for the Wall.
A lot of trips, a lot of stories, a lot of amazing people along the way.
So that's about the same time Walrus joined the run.
Yes. Yeah. Walrus came in around 99 too. Yeah.
So for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, although you missed a year, Ross and Walrus and I have ridden back after Run for the Wall, back across the country together. So
Aw.
and we'll see about getting Walrus on here. I might
if
have to
he'll
drive
agree
to
to
St.
it.
George to make that happen.
It was a much different run when I started. It was still, they were still doing things the original way. It was just 2 3-mile long lines of bikes. You were either on the left or the right. There were no groups.
No platoons.
No platoons. You rubber band all day.
There was one route. There was no staging crew.
No staging, no fueling.
No fuel. Who did all that?
The advanced road guards and the road guard, pack road guards would break out and do fuel. The advanced road guards would park them. And we'd set up the stops.
That's a lot of work.
It was. Back then,
road
we had
guards
to
were
move a
busy.
lot of cars, and it was kind of a real run and go. And the big thing I remember, if you didn't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and push your bike to the front of where that line was going to be, you would spend the whole day on your throttle and your brakes. It was very difficult if you were at the back of the pack back then.
So there were no platoons.
There were no platoons, so you had this rubber band effect. The farther back you were, the bigger the rubber band.
Now, but what about pacers? You had pacers?
Well, in 2000, and I think it was 3, we brought in what we called pacers. And what we would do is the bikes were all parked, and about every 22 bikes, we'd shoot a guy out, and his job was to pace. He was the pacer to just set the rate and have a break between groups. Later on, those people became platoon leaders.
Yeah.
And then assistants and tail gunners and all that.
Come on now. Come on.
All right. So Ross,
so those times were a real tumultuous growth period in the run.
Yeah, and speaking of growth, you were there when it was just one route. We're now 3 cross-country routes. So what routes have you done as the run has expanded?
Central. I have never done the other routes. When I was on the board of directors, I did go to the Southern Route reunions down in Kerrville every year. And I did my best to work with and get to know some of those people. And it was fantastic. That whole period of time, they were working hard on forming a new run. And sometimes Central was playing a little catch up because they were very innovative. And but it was great to just have both runs that seemed to have more Marines on the Southern Route. I don't know why that is, but I love making fun of that.
Well, because they serve crayons at meals.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They eat crayons.
Right.
Y'all are a mess.
Now, wasn't it the Southern Route that came up with the whole idea of platoons?
Yeah.
And the staging and fuel?
Yeah. They really did.
Be nice.
I'll be nice.
I'm like, okay, Southern, I see you.
Southern, once, I think in 99, a group of guys said, we want to do this. And in 2000, or I think it was 2001, they actually did their first run. And shortly after, they had platoon leaders, and staging crews came up, and a lot of stuff. And Central Route at that time, the board went with the recommendations from Southern Route, and they were changing Central to do the same with stagers and fuel teams and stuff. And it wasn't an easy transition, particularly for the road guards. It was very difficult. There was some animosity at the time that we weren't being included in the decisions. They were just being brought down. And that's actually one of the reasons I went on the board. I was the first operations and training board member. And I remember, I think it was in 2002, oh gosh, no, it was later on, probably 5 or 6. I went into a room with all the road guards, and we just hashed it out, that some of these things are good for the riders. We have to accept them. We have to do the best we can with them. So it all came together, and we are what we are today, which has made the run a lot safer. There are some areas that I still don't really agree with, but that's just me. I'm old school, you know.
And road guards tend to be a little bit ornery.
Yeah, I've been accused of not being as kind to people as I should be.
It keeps us in check.
Yeah.
Any road guard who was on the central route last year knows that for sure.
Yeah, I was unkind last year a couple of times.
We needed it. We needed some discipline. We needed the words of some sage advice, right?
Yeah.
So
Who is that, Valor?
Yeah.
Who is that right there?
hey, Valor.
And she said, Boots.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh, she didn't want me to say.
Oh, we get
All right. So you mentioned being on the board of directors, and then you also said you were a road guard. What other positions right? And then what other positions have you held?
Well, I've been a road guard since 2004. I think 4. Because I was a pacer. That year we tried pacers. They made me a pacer. So I started road guarding in 2004, and I did not accept any positions other than road guarding. Well, I had some offers, and honestly, on my first run, before I got to Barstow, I knew I wanted to be a road guard. I wanted to go fast, and I wanted to go fast. But so
Is that
and
where
that's
Boots
what I
got it
did
from?
all
No.
those years. Yeah. I got on the board and did some stuff, you know, and I was president for a couple of years. But I always went back to road guarding. One year in 2012, I was an ambassador, and that was a different
I
experience.
don't know.
And then you were also road guard captain.
1 year, I was road guard captain. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I should have been road guard captain more, but you know, that's the way it goes.
Did you want to do that this coming year?
No, I think that's you, isn't it?
If you want it.
These two are a trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So in all these years, this upcoming year will be what, like 26, aside from COVID.
He's
not
not coming this coming year, of course. So far,
So far.
so far. We'll see. TBD.
It's a
No.
break, according to him. But
But
we'll see.
in all of those
He
years,
might
though,
be driving the hydration truck.
Yeah, water boy.
well,
Water boy.
so you are open to accepting positions outside of being a road guard then.
Last year, Walrus made me a T-shirt that said "Road Guard Water Boy."
Oh my goodness, Walrus, really?
Yeah, he never gives up. But yeah, it's been an interesting time being road guard all that years, and the riders and the changes and the leadership and the people you meet along the way are phenomenal. Some I was afraid of when I was a new guy, you know.
Girl, stop it. What my question was going to be is, throughout the years, how have you prepared yourself mentally and physically for the run?
Well, I've always ridden a lot.
Okay.
In recent years, maybe not so much, but I definitely am one of those people that are very aware of my skill level. If I feel that my peripheral vision or my skill level isn't what it should be, that's when I hang it up. To me, motorcycling isn't something you do. It's an active sport to me. You gotta, everybody that rides knows that you have to be engaged all the time. It's an active sport. It's not a cruise. You're not cruising anymore with cell phones.
Yeah.
You have to really be serious about it.
Now she let the dog downstairs. So I guess we have a total of like 10 dogs now who've joined us for
We
today's
got all these dogs
podcast.
running around here, and your
10
dog.
dogs,
Yeah,
kids.
All good. So Ross,
So many guests this episode.
you've been on the run 24, 25 times.
Yeah.
What stands out as maybe the best, your favorite, not the best, but your favorite stop or experience?
Oh boy. You know, it's funny. My first many years on the run, I was always most all of that 20 some odd years as a road guard. I have been on the advance team or led the advance team. Um, I haven't been a pack road guard other than just a few times. I've always been out ahead of the road guard. Early on, I would come home and my wife would say, "Well, how was the run?" And I'd say, "Oh, it was okay, and we did this and this happened and stuff." But you just had a kind of a general feeling. But I learned as the years went by, at around year 10, I realized there is usually, matter of fact, there's always a moment, a minute that happens during the run to you personally. It may be a little thing, it may be a big thing. It touches you personally, and it'll happen every time. It can be a rider, it can be a spectator, it can be a revelation of something that's happened that touches you. I look for that moment during the entire run that makes the whole 10 days worth it. And you will find it each time. Yeah, I've never had a year where you couldn't find that moment that made the whole thing worth it. Yeah, no, that's the magic of the run for me.
Yeah, I think, I just was thinking about that as you were talking, and I remember, I think it was 2019 or 18, you and I were standing at a gas stop and we were just having a cold drink, and a lady walked up to us and she heard about us on their local news. I don't know if we were in Kansas or Indiana, somewhere like that. And she had a picture of her late husband who served in Vietnam, who had passed away. And she wanted us to take his picture with us to the wall and lay it down at the wall. And, she was in tears. I started tearing up. Ross started tearing up.
They had done the run.
Oh, that's right.
A few years earlier.
Together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's just something like that just happens on the run, where in that moment you realize that this isn't just a motorcycle ride. This really is a mission. And it's about honoring those who served, honoring those who have passed, honoring the memory of our soldiers and our loved ones. And for us, she just walked up to us randomly because we were standing kind of at the edge of the parking lot there, where the road guards normally park. And it was just a real meaningful moment, and just to have the honor of taking her husband's picture and remembering him and giving him one last ride on Run for the Wall. That's what it's all about, and I think that's why a lot of us ride.
We took a picture of that being left at the wall, and I sent her the picture.
Yeah, you got her cell number. Yeah.
Stuff like that is phenomenal, and it's happened to me on every run. Whether it's a story that a veteran tells that's just phenomenal, or you run into somebody you thought was dead, or a woman wants you to rev the pipes. I was at the Vietnam Memorial one year, and a tourist, he was on a tour of the memorials. Just like there was 5 or 6 people with a tour guide, and the man was in absolute tears. He was a vet. And, just to share that moment with him made that whole run. I was already in DC, but that guy, being able to give him a hug made the run. So, yeah, it's stuff like that.
It's amazing how we all come together and we take this journey from California to DC as one. And although we bond fast and we become really close to one another, it's the people that we encounter along the way who end up making those impacts on us.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I'm able to pick up a piece at every single stop, like even if it's a fuel stop, because we do have people who know that we're stopping at these fuel stops and they'll meet us there, or they have no clue. They're headed across country on vacation, or they're working driving trucks, and they're like, what is this? and you take the time out to tell them and have that conversation, and then, they share their own experiences, and it's touching to them as well. So, I will say this, be prepared to, like, if you're new to Run for the Wall, be prepared for people to come up to you perhaps and say, "Hey, what's going on? What is this?" Boots has, if you go, I think it's under media maybe on the
Yes, it
website,
is.
but you have like little, yeah, I was
I
gonna
have
say
talking
I'm
points
crazy,
and
but
yeah,
I'm
there's
not that crazy.
brochures,
But he has like
flyers,
brochures and
posters.
talking points. Yeah. So if you kind of shy away from having those types of conversations with people, and you've seen it happen, or you think it may come up, or you really want to be able to speak about what Run for the Wall is, where we came from, where we're going, what we're doing, then go over to the website and click on media and read the talking points that Boots has put there.
And the run is, I've always it's just such an open organization to anybody who's been affected by conflict,
Mhm.
whether you're the boots on the ground or your family or, an ancestor, whatever. If it bothers you that there's conflict and war in the world, and you want to be with people of a like mind who understand that is, has implications, Run for the Wall is a fabulous organization. It's nationwide.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now, I think I could break down anywhere in the country and call somebody.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
There's people everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, like, don't think that this is only for veterans, or you have to have deployed or anything like that. Like, we are open, and even if you've had experiences and you feel that you're more of a closed off person, like, be prepared to be brought in as family. Like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
My favorite part now, like after my F&G year, like, now I've been around, my favorite thing is connecting with F&Gs. Like, it just is, because I know that that really matters. So,
Yeah, because that's the future of Run for the Wall. It's our new riders.
yep. Also, my favorite thing is the food, because, I'm
Mm-hmm.
greedy. So, Ross, you've only been you've only been on Central Route. What would you say is the best meal? And see, you have a lot of years to draw from. So even if it's something that doesn't even happen anymore, from one of the old stops or something like that, what was the best meal? What are the best meals you think
Oh,
on the run?
okay, so I know that answer. Our best food, our best food on the Run for the Wall for many, many, many years was in Hugo, just outside of Lyman,
Colorado.
Colorado. Hugo, Colorado. We would go from Lyman, Colorado, where we spent the
Mhm.
night. We would
Mhm.
go 13 miles to the little town of Hugo, and I'm talking little town.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah, I was
town.
like, we don't stop there
They had a
anymore.
Quonset hut, and they would serve us dinner, and all the people in town would make that dinner, along with the pies and the desserts and all. And Hugo was great food. We don't go to Hugo anymore,
Not anymore.
but we have just as good a food, if not better in some areas, at Eagle's Nest.
Oh, yeah.
Eagle's Nest
Yeah, I was gonna
community.
say Eagle Nest. It's that same style. The community comes together.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
those folks put on a great meal, and the fact that it's made by the locals and they turn out to be there, that's a great spot.
Yeah, that's the senior center in
Yeah.
Eagle Nest, New Mexico.
Yes, they do a great job.
Big shout out to those guys. And every year, the same woman makes this giant cake. What is it, like 4 feet by 4 feet? It's a huge cake.
Huge. There's another secret in the food world on Run for the Wall, though. I shouldn't divulge it, but since I
Yeah,
may
you
not be
should.
there, you have to eat the banana pudding
Oh, yes.
at Rennell
Oh, at
School.
the
Absolutely.
yes.
I tell people, and they like, ha ha ha, yeah, sure.
No, you have to.
No, you have to.
It's the best, and that woman has been making that for
This
So,
year, I made the mistake of sitting right next to it. I was like, so even after I had some, it was still like calling my name.
so this year at Raynell, I got a big bowl of that banana pudding,
Oh
and then
man,
they had cookies.
that's
And so I
big in
took
my pocket.
3 cookies and I dipped the cookies in the banana pudding, and I ate the pudding and the cookies.
Killer.
And then I had to lead the missing man formation down the mountain. And about halfway down, I realized I had the sugar jitters. I was like, ugh.
You
It's
had
like too much sugar for me.
Too much
Ugh.
sugar. Great.
yeah, you led us to where did we go after that? The place
Lewisburg.
Lewisburg,
Yeah,
yeah,
the power
and all
was
the
out.
power was out.
Yeah.
Power was out
We
in
went
the
out to that
entire town.
wonderful Mexican restaurant out by the
Yeah, yeah.
airport. That was fun.
Yeah.
VFW in Winsville, shout out though.
Oh, yeah.
They serve a steak and nobody else does that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the morning they'd have biscuits and gravy.
Oh
and
man. As an overall deal.
Yeah.
VFW in Winsville.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pulled up Hugo on the map, and I'll say I'm surprised it even made the map. Like
That-
it's a tiny, like they probably have what, a traffic light or two going through there.
No stoplights in Hugo, I don't think. At least back then. That
Okay.
was the most terrifying 13 miles on the run for the wall some years because that
road.
the front range weather is often very frightening in that part of the world around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So you'd run that 12 or 13 miles to Hugo, and after dinner, you'd have to go back to Lyman to the hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Was not uncommon to have massive thunder and lightning storms on that evening ride after dinner.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, at 105 miles an hour, what the heck, you know?
Oh no, we're only 5 miles an hour over the posted limit.
I thought we
that
were
part.
off duty then.
This is not a race.
5 miles an hour.
I
over
thought
the
we were
posted
off
limit.
duty. Yeah, it may have been
You're
later.
confusing.
I'm
with,
confusing.
something we did on the racetrack.
Yeah.
On the closed course.
Yeah.
Professional
Oh, my
riders on the
goodness.
closed course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Ross.
your road name is kind of nebulous. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first met you was Snake Charmer.
It's changed.
But it's changed now. It might be Quilts. It might be Clambake. What is it?
All right. So when I started
Grumpy.
in the Army, I was a LERP. So for a while they called me Compass because I was leading the advanced team, and it was a stupid thing. We didn't have GPSs, by the way. When I started the run, you had to know where you're going.
Yep.
You didn't have a GPS. You had a grease pencil you wrote on your windshield. So, just saying. But what was I saying? What was the question?
Your road
road name.
So they called me Compass because of I was real good with directions, still am, and topo maps. Then later on, I got lost in DC one night trying to get back to the Days Inn from the wall, and it started to rain, and I started to panic because DC, you get really lost on those expressways. So I went to a taxi, and I told the guy, I said, "Hey, I'll give you $25 or whatever it was, I don't remember, to get me to the Days Inn in Arlington." He's like, "Yeah, man." And he keeps the thing down and he takes off, and I'm following him on the motorcycle. This is great. Well, I run into other motorcycles, and they're all dazed driving around DC and all over the place. So by the time we get to the hotel, I've probably got 20 motorcycles because I'm young. Come on, we're going to the hotel. We follow this cab. We give him a whole bunch of money. Well, so my road name changed to Taxi. So for a few years, they were calling me Taxi. Then one year, I was with Mike Owen, Dadbo, going up to Raynell. We just left Charleston. And there was a snake on the road that appeared injured. And I was behind him, so he dropped me there to deal with the snake. Well, the snake was alive, so I got my flag, and I'm trying to get the snake off the road. A woman across the street's yelling down, "I wouldn't be messing with that if I were you." So I get it off the road. I'm like, it's cool. Get back on my bike, and I take off. I didn't go 5 miles. There's another snake and I'm thinking, wow, that thing's all curled up. So just instinctively, I raised my legs And that snake struck so fast, it hit the fairing right where my leg was. And a bunch of guys behind me saw the snake strike at me. So the road name changed to Snake Charmer. And it's been kind of Snake Charmer ever since. But yeah, kind of a floating
Mm-mm.
road name. I don't think any of them really sat with me, but what happens?
Mm-mm. I probably would have quit. I would have
Yeah.
quit
Yeah. If you
if
ever
I
see those snakes, they do strike at bikes. So raise your feet.
I've actually had a rattler strike at me out on Fox and Canyon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's intimidating. They strike very quick.
yeah, they do. They're quick. Okay, so let's talk about what you ride on the run. It's sitting right behind us, but not the YZ250, but the BMW.
Yeah. I've gone through.
You had Harleys.
I've gone through a Fat Boy, 2 road glides, an 1800 Goldwing, and 2 BMW RTs doing the run over 25 years. I quit doing it on Harleys because it was just not good for the motors. I was running them a little too hard, especially coming home.
I thought it was because you had sensitive ears.
Yeah, and sensitive ears too. But I went to the Honda was a great bike, and I ended up blowing the transmission on the run in Junction City one year. So I went to the BMW, and I equate the BMW to a Harley. Like the Harley is the classic big bomber, and I love Harleys. I love all motors. I've never met a motorcycle I don't like. But I found the BMW to be really quick and really nimble. It's like comparing a bomber to an F-16.
Yeah, it's like a fighter jet.
Yeah, yeah. I know guys work hard on their Harleys to get them going, like this guy. But BMWs are very quick.
Yeah, I've got like
two
a
are a
C-130
trip.
with like a jet engine.
Yeah. He's like a dropping fire retardant out of the thing. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, BMWs are great bikes for the run, but all bikes. We had a lady one year did it on a Vespa.
Yo, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
She overheated going over the hills into Rennell, and we pushed her over the summit. Yeah, she went all the way on a little Vespa scooter with a spare tire.
It can be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Sergeant Rock.
That's dedication.
Sergeant Rock, he did it. He went on a Bergman scooter, I think 3 or 4 years.
That was a Suzuki 650 Bergman.
Bergman, yeah.
Those things actually scoot. That's got the SV 650 engine, a derivation of it.
They do scoot. Those few years, he was flying by people on that thing. But yeah.
Wow. All right. So, pulling together all of your years of experience on the run, what advice would you have for riders?
Practice. No, I think the best advice I've ever given a new rider, because everybody, I don't care how long you've been riding, if you come to the Run for the Wall, you are a little hesitant about riding side by side, where you shouldn't be, really. If you're a good motorcycle rider, you can ride side by side, and after a day, you're an expert at riding side by side. It can be very comfortable to know right where that other bike is versus off somewhere behind you. You get used to it. But I tell the riders that one of the big things when you take off and during the Run for the Wall, because there are different areas of highway, is to loosen their grip on the handlebars, drop their shoulders, and relax their stomach muscles. Just relax. Let your muscles relax. Put your weight on the bike, because the weight of the bike is going to keep you in the lane. If you're too tight and you're going to get this effect like this, you're going to be just too tense and you're going to become exhausted. You need to just relax and let the weight of the bike take you down the highway. And I've found that helps a lot of people, because they are tense. They're scared.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
It is. Boots, do you have any other questions for Mr. Ross?
Well,
or is there anything you think that he should be sharing with us that he's holding back on?
got a whole list of names. I could say so many things about these people, but I just, you know, no, it was just names that, events of things and players over the years.
Yep.
There's a lot of them. A lot of people have worked decades to make the run what it is. And a lot of the people that did some of the basic hard work, they're not around anymore. They're in the wing. They're still watching.
So what was that situation where there was a gun pulled or something?
The Mount Sterling gun battle.
Yeah, the Mount Sterling gun battle. Why don't you tell us about that one?
Oh God, one of many colorful events on the Run for the Wall. Okay, so that year, Kent Markley was road guard captain. Great guy from Missouri, good friend. We pull into Mount Sterling, and there, as you pull in, we come to a stoplight and we make a right. Well, if you make a left, there's a whole row of fast food restaurants. So we would line the bikes up along that frontage road, and everybody would just go have lunch on their own. Well, we were all assembling, and guys are milling around their bikes, and we had a couple hundred bikes. And all of a sudden, way up at the end of the street, and the street comes towards us, somebody starts yelling, "Stop that car! Stop that car!" And everybody looks, and there's a minivan with the back open coming down the street. And the people at the restaurant are yelling, "Stop that car." Well, there's a lot of retired law enforcement and, and active law enforcement folks on the run. And so as the car came down along the run, they were met with basically a SWAT team of Run for the Wall riders who happened to possibly be armed. And
there's still some conjecture. We're not
still
sure.
some conjecture about that. But the people were removed from the vehicle and placed in the prone position. And about that time, every siren, I think within 10 miles, went off. Fire, police, ambulance. It had been called in as a big, some sort of event that it wasn't. So the police showed up, and the fire, and everybody showed up, and they wanted to know if there was guns involved, and we didn't find any guns. Evidently it was a dine and dash thing. Some young kids had run out of the restaurant and jumped in their car and didn't pay. And that's why they were yelling to stop the car, which was done.
Thought a kidnapping was happening.
No, they thought it was possibly an armed robbery, and some of the retired off-duty or active officers who were licensed in carrying firearms did make a felony stop on the vehicle. And there was a lot of law enforcement people on the run back then. And so when the police arrived, they wanted to know who had firearms, who out of all the riders had firearms. And I was standing there, and I was standing next to the road guard captain, Kent Markley, and they were asking, okay, we want to know who had the firearms. And it was the same story. That we had a lot of law enforcement and retired law enforcement on the run. There may have been some firearms pulled, but we didn't see them. So, it went away. And we were invited back to Mount Sterling. It's still a lunch stop for Run for the Wall. So it was just an incident that happened, but it was a lot of fun.
Sure.
It was one of those lot of fun deals.
Oh man,
the run was a little edgier back then.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good time to take a moment and talk about a question that I actually get a lot, and that is, if I am a concealed carry permit holder, am I allowed to carry on Run for the Wall? And the answer to that is concealed is concealed. Keep it that way. Also know that we start in California on the central route, all coast-to-coast routes. So if you're, a permit holder in a state that California has no reciprocity whatsoever, make sure you're following the rules. And if you're going through a state like Illinois that also has no reciprocity whatsoever, unless you have an HR 218, you need to make sure that you take care of business and follow the rules of your particular permit, and make sure that concealed is concealed at all times. So
Yeah.
got to say that.
Yeah. There have been incidents where people have been seen under their jacket on the highway. The wind blows your jacket or something,
Right.
and they'll get pulled over by state police for
Brandishing.
Yeah. So you got to be careful.
Concealed is concealed.
It's a responsibility.
It is.
And don't leave it under your pillow when you check out of your hotel.
We're not going to mention.
I feel like that must have happened.
Walrus.
Oh, I'm surprised we can even go to Holiday Inn.
That was on the way.
I guess that's kind of a good tip, though. And it should be something that if you are licensed to carry, that they talk about in your classes. I know they talk about it in mine. And it's, being aware of your body and the type of holsters and things that you choose based on your weapon and the type of clothes that you wear, because walking around is different from. What'd you say?
We lost audio for a second, but you're back.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, walking around is different from riding a bike, and you need to be very aware of where your weapon is and how it fits. And then, sometimes if you don't ride all the time or a lot, you may not be the same size that you were the last time you rode, and you need to be mindful of those things. So all that to say, when Ross says, practice, but also practice with, I'll say, all of your gear, and make sure that you're good.
And evaluate if that's something you really need anyway. You are with a couple hundred veterans, so you're pretty safe on Run for the Wall.
Pretty darn safe. Yeah. So is there anyone else you want to mention, call out? I know there have been so many great guys who've been road guards over the years, like Pato and
there's
Spaz, and
there's so many stories. A lot of people remember Pato. I'll give you he made a Hawaiian patch that back in the 90s. So if you see that patch on people's vests, they've been around a long time. Pato was a guy from Hawaii when I met him. Some people knew him earlier on when he was struggling a little bit. He was a veteran, but he was from Hawaii, and every year he would come over and do the Run for the Wall on his bike. Now, Pato was what we would call here in California a 1% biker. He was a little outside our norm. He was a vet, but he was also a very, very serious hardcore biker from Hawaii. And I remember he didn't like road guards.
He had a thing about authority.
He had a thing with authority, and road guards kind of symbolize that. So he didn't like road guards, and he pretty much told you every day that, as you went by, he didn't like you.
That was before my time, but I heard the stories. I just want to be clear about that.
So many stories of aggression towards road guards from Pato. But here's a good story. We were going into Mount Vernon one year, real hot day, and Pato was in the pack as always. I was with the pack that day, and we don't know what exactly happened, whether it was a lack of attention or sleepiness or whatever, but Pato ended up locking up his brakes on the highway and going down. He locked them up, he slid, and the bike went down right in the middle of the highway. And I was there pretty quick. Back then we had chase vehicles, but not like today, and they weren't, as formal and radio controlled as an old. We weren't sure about that, but we had a group that rode with Run for the Wall, and I think they're part of Run for the Wall history, called F Troop. F Troop, if any of those guys are listening, they know who they are. Pato was one of them. They traveled with their own chase trailer, and they pulled up on the highway to get his bike and everything off the highway. And I'll never forget, he's laying on the highway and he's got his knees bent and he's a little scraped up, but he looks okay. And all of a sudden he says, "I can't move my head." And everybody kind of looks at each other and we're like, "You can't move your head." He's like, "No, man, I can't move my head." So we're like, "Oh gosh, we better really take some cervical precautions here and, be careful with this guy." And as we're doing that, and EMS is arriving, a lot going on, I looked down and Pato wore a spiked helmet. They went from front to back, right up to the middle, and it had spikes. Okay. So I look, and the spikes on the back of his helmet are in the blacktop. So he can't move his head because his helmet is stuck in the highway. Right. So I remember I think you're okay, Pato. And I grabbed his helmet and I went, boom, and it came up out of the highway. And for some reason, even though we're all out on the highway and he's a little bloody, and everybody just starts laughing. It was because we were terrified that he had a bad injury. Turns out his helmet was stuck in the highway. I'll never forget that. It was a good one.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a good one. And he ended up that evening at dinner coming up to the mic and telling everybody, be vigilant. Don't get distracted. Don't get sleepy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you already told me what that you're not going to do the run this coming year in 26. But what are your plans? What do you think?
Allegedly.
Well, I don't really have any plans. I usually don't make any plans till right at the end of the year or before the run, because if I haven't gone on a ride or I just feel like, a lot of times I'm like, I got to go, somewhere. So tentatively this year, I'm thinking I might trailer out somewhere, past the desert.
Oh, yeah.
No reason. Trailer out somewhere and maybe hook up with the pack, ride a couple days or whatever, and then come back to my trailer.
Okay.
So
that's good.
And if you need help somewhere along the line,
absolutely. If you show up, bring your red hat and your brassards, and we'll put you to work.
So you never know.
Yeah, and we have 10 rookie road guards on the central route this year, so I'm going to need you to come by and
10
do the Ross thing.
Man, that's a lot of new guys.
I know.
It's a lot.
It's time for Tech Tips with Ted.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of cool how when I'm planning to do these podcasts and I think about all my tech tips that I have and riding experience, and I picked one actually that came from local Santa Maria Hog Chapter meeting from their safety officer, Pappy. And we've been talking about it pretty much all day on this podcast, and that is minimizing distractions while you're riding. We have so many things that are begging our attention, and now more than ever, Ross even said it, riding with your phone, and we're hooked up into these infotainment systems now on the BMW is like crazy. You need a PhD to operate that thing. But the Harleys, the Yamahas, the Hondas, that they all have the infotainment. You've got music, you've got cruise control, adaptive cruise control, and GPS, and on and on and on. But you've got to consider the distraction factor here when you're going down the highway at highway speed. 70 miles per hour is about 100 feet per second. So if you look down at take your eyes off the road and you're looking and trying to, get Take It Easy by the Eagles queued up on your music player, 1 second is 100 feet. 2 seconds is 300 feet. 200 feet, and 3 seconds is 300 feet. That's a football field that you've traveled trying to manipulate your infotainment system. And that can be the difference between life or death. So you really got to, you've got to keep that in mind and minimize those distractions. And if you're going to listen to music while you ride, maybe get it set while you're pulled over on the side of the road or in a parking lot safely, where you can get that music queued up and then listen to it and not try to be manipulating that while you're going down the road. The other things about distractions is like a lot of things can cause distractions, not just your infotainment, but poorly adjusted or loose controls. I went and put my hand on somebody's Harley the other day, right on their front brake because it was on the kickstand. And my hand touched their brake lever and it flopped. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with this bike? It was just, he had screwed a drink holder, but he used screws that were too long. So the front brake was just flopping there. And that's not what they mean by full floating front brakes. So I'm like, change that out immediately. That's terrible. Or, if you can adjust controls to how you sit on the bike, your gear shift lever, your brake, your clutch, your front brake. So make sure that that's not causing you to be distracted. Reflections. When I first bought my Harley, I had this chrome dashboard, and when the sun was over my shoulder, it would hit that chrome and it would reflect into my eyes. I changed it out. I powder coated everything black. If you have the wrong gear or poorly fitting gear, that can cause a distraction. And then, of course, here it comes, tires. If you've got tires that are worn or tires that are just the wrong tires for your bike, that can cause a distraction if it's following the grooves or whatever. So, yeah.
Are you
Horton
going to
and I
make
talked about
mention?
tires again.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I was going to say in our notes, you have his name. And
well,
of
that was to
course,
remind me to mention Horton in the podcast because I always
every
do.
episode.
Yeah.
Let me throw into what you were saying, Ted.
Yeah.
All the years I've road guarded on the run for the wall, I have never listened to music or had a telephone in my helmet. It's all business because if especially road guarding, you got to be watching what the riders are doing, what your road guards are doing, where you're going. And for anybody, even in the pack, it's just too much input. Take some quiet, realize what you're doing here. Think about the mission. It'll get you in a better place sometimes.
Absolutely. And if you think about it in terms of, and I'm going to go way back here to some very early rider training I had when I was probably about 16 or 17 years old. I took the California Superbike School with Keith Code, and Keith used to teach it back then. One of the principles that Keith taught was think about your attention as a $10 bill. That's all you have to spend is $10. And if you have ill-adjusted controls or you're not familiar with your bike, every time you spend attention, it's $1 here and $1 there and $1 there, and you got $1 on the music, and so you've already spent $9 on poor gear, bad tires, ill-adjusted controls, loose control. You've got $1 left to spend on where you're going. That's going to end up in a disaster. So don't spend all your money. Don't spend all your $10 of attention on all these other things. Reduce that so you have a full $10 to spend on going down the road safely, monitoring your throttle position, your brake, your temperature, how close you are to the bike in front of you, where you're going, what's your next exit. That's one of my things is I have it printed out and it's right on my dash on my motorcycle. Where am I? What am I doing? And that's something they teach in another school I took, which is the Yamaha School of Champions Riding School. And that is, say to yourself, where am I? What am I doing? Because that brings you back and helps you regain that focus so that you minimize the distractions, get where you're going safely. And that is Tech Tips with Ted and Rob.
Good tip.
Thank you, Ted and Ross. All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode, unless either of you have anything else to add before we wrap it up.
Well, I didn't want to end without, kind of pointing, if you're watching this on YouTube and you look directly above my head, there is a quilt up there of Run for the Wall t-shirts going all the way back to like the 80s, I think.
I think there's one up there that's 89.
Yeah, there's an original 89er shirt that's sewn into that quilt. Tell us about that. Who did that?
That's Skeeter's quilt. Skeeter, for those of you that don't know, was Last Man Chase Vehicle, where Tommy is now in his pickup truck. That used to be a guy named Skeeter, and he drove a Jeep usually. It's a He was a Marine. Won't hold that against him. But Skeeter was a guy that always, anytime you saw him, he was smiling and he was happy to be doing what he was doing and where he was at. He was just that guy. He didn't ride motorcycles, but he showed up every year in that Jeep to be our last man vehicle. And that is 20 years of his t-shirts. His wife, when he passed, made that into a quilt. And in 2019, she brought that quilt to the run. And that was a year I was road guard captain, and the road guards bought me that. It was being raffled off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow,
Pretty
that
awesome.
is incredible.
So, yeah, did 2. 1, the road guards, and 2, it was Skeeters.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
very, very special.
I think that's an awesome way to wrap this episode. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And
Right.
thank you for being here. I know Boots picked on you, but you gave it right back to him as well.
The one
so
thing he never
it's all
asked me is, did he ever ask me why I do the run? Why I
Oh.
really, really got started. I'm going to show you a picture. This is myself and my
Oh
godfather.
my goodness. Okay.
That's Jack Linville. He was went up the hill with Teddy Roosevelt in the Spanish-American War and World War I. And that's my godfather.
Wow.
When I was a kid, 3, 4, 5 years old, we couldn't afford daycare. It was just my mom, So she would take us to the veterans home in Yountville, California, which is still there. It's the largest veterans home in the country, I think. And she would drop us off. She was a World War II mom, so she would drop us off at the veterans home, and the veterans would take care of us all day. We'd work in the bowling alley or bussing tables or wood shop or whatever. And through those guys, when I was just a little kid, I heard the stories. And Jack Linville, he drove a motorcycle in World War I that took wounded back and ammo forward. So that's why I do the run.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And yes, we did skip that question.
We did.
We were just moving so fast and
okay,
telling stories,
It's more
and
of a
that's an
guideline than a
important
rule,
one.
right?
Yeah. Everybody has their reason for the run. For me, it was, it turned out to be the right thing. It made my life a lot better and gave me a better understanding of history. It's all been a plus.
It is.
Right on.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. If you're looking for more information on Run for the Wall, you can visit us at the website, which is www.rftw.us. And if you would like to share some of your experiences with us, or you have like a cool story to tell as it relates to one of the questions that we ask our guests, by all means, please write to us at pod, that's POD, short for podcast, at rftw.us. So until next time, how far are we going?
All the way.
All right. Let's see here.
Thank you so much.
You are so very welcome. This was a fun episode, and yeah, we got to learn a lot. But yeah, now we have to try to get Walrus to join us, and yeah.